Pond Boss. So you want to build a pond. 3, 2.
Hey, Mr. Pond Boss, tell me what to do to make all my Lunker Lake dreams come true.
Hello, Chico. How are you today, buddy?
Again, another beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Loving it out here. Yes.
It's so much fun to hang out and get to record these podcasts and share what we know and, try to build an audience and see where this thing goes. Greetings, friends and neighbors. Glad that you're joining us as well. Today, our topic is going to be, so you want to build a pond. And that's a pretty common occurrence. It's, I've done these Facebook Live Wednesday broadcasts pretty much every Wednesday for over 5 years, And I think that thing's kind of run its course. And part of the motivation to do these podcasts is to get a concise topic and really dial in on that topic and talk about that. Where with the Facebook Live, I interact with the people that are watching the show because I can see they're there.
Yeah, and that drives the topic.
Yes,
yeah.
But on this, I want to talk about the topics and really drill into that. But, for the sake of brevity, we're not going to get a lot of the details. If you want details, well, we can help you get that as well. Through the Institute of Higher Pondology or the Pond Boss website, pondboss.com, whichever one to go. So it's not unusual for somebody to watch that Facebook Live after they see it on YouTube after the fact and then send me an email or go to info@pondboss.com and send an email and say, hey, I'm thinking about building a pond. Greetings, Bob Lusk here, editor of Pond Boss Magazine and longtime fisheries biologist. Welcome to the Pond Boss podcast series. Got some great topics lined up for you. Glad you're coming along. We are brought to you by Purina Mills, makers of Aquamax fish foods, Texas Hunter Products, makers of fantastic fish feeders and other hunting products, Easy Docks, and HuntBirdDog.com. We're glad you're here. Let's go have some fun together and get our learning curve up. I got a call about 3 weeks ago from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he's got a manufacturing plant. And he's got a couple of young grandkids, and he was thinking, right beside that plant, that he could have a small pond where the grandkids could come, hang out with him right after work and maybe catch a few fish. And he's got a site for maybe a 2.5 acre pond. So, folks, there's a process. If you want to build a pond, there's a process for that. And we don't know what we don't know. So what I'm going to help you know here is how to go through that process. So job one, and when somebody calls me, I start looking at topography maps. I want to see how big is the watershed that feeds that. So how many acres, when it rains, where the water is going to flow, will flow down into that area where you want to build a pond. The second thing we need to know is what kind of dirt do you have? There's over 50,000 soil types that are known to mankind. And not all those soil types hold water.
Most of them don't.
Yeah. And the only ones that really do are compactable clay type soils. So we're looking for clay. So job one is we want to figure out how big is the watershed that feeds it. Job two is what kind of dirt do you have. And then the next thing we start looking at where dam sites could be. And I always start off at 30,000 feet looking from the top down just to see what that site looks like, and then we can start plotting in areas where a dam could go. At that point, we get on the ground and we go over and start seeing the way the land lays and the way things flow, and then we go find some spots where it does make sense to put a dam in, because most ponds are dams that back water up through a wash, a draw, or a small creek. Now, when we get into South Louisiana and some of the flat parts, Southeast Texas, parts of Alabama, those are excavated ponds, where for every yard of dirt you dig out, you're going to get 1 yard of water. That's not the most efficient way to do that. So the type of pond that you're going to want to build is going to be determined by the site that you have. This guy up at Tulsa, part of that land is flat. Well, part of his mission is he's going to add on to his manufacturing plant, so he needs dirt for a building site.
So he's going to dig a hole anyway.
So he's going to be getting some dirt anyway.
Yeah.
So he wants to dig a pond, take some of that dirt, use it for a pad site, as long as it's the right kind of dirt for that, and then come back in and dig the bowl of the pond out, build a little dam, and create a 2.5 acre pond. So the due diligence is topo maps first, soil second, where's the best place to site the dam, and then you go in and start digging test holes to see what kind of dirt you've actually got.
So topo maps, USGS,
yes,
primarily.
I look at Google Earth and MapRight. That's the two. That's the two things I look at.
Straightforward.
The thing I like about Google Earth is you can go back in time. You can track back 15 years, 17 years, and they've got pretty good satellite imagery, so you can go back and see what that site looked like. Were there any ponds in? And looking at Google Earth, you can see if there's any ponds right around it. Do they hold water?
Yeah, where the water has been. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and you can see whether there's ponds there that in one year they had no water in them, the next year they were full. So you can look and see, just get a good general high level picture as to whether or not there's ponds in the neighborhood and how well those ponds are doing what they do. So now once you've kind of got an idea, it's feasible to build a small pond, then you start looking at what's your due diligence. Now you can start measuring the distance that the dam is going to have to span, the height it's going to need to be. Then it turns into an engineering and math equation. It's how many cubic yards of soil do you need to be able to build the embankment, the levee, the dam, to be able to impound that volume of water. So look at it now. We're looking at it from two sets of eyes now. We're looking at a structure, just like a building. It's got to have the right foundation. It's got to be able to be supported. It's got to have the right soils to be able to compact and to build that levee system or that dam or whatever it is that you're going to be doing. And the dam's job is to impound water and then release excess water in an orderly fashion. That is engineering and math right there. So those things are real important that you take a look at. Now, once you get past that phase, now you're looking at what's behind the dam and that pond. That's going to be the living, breathing entity that's going to become your lake or your pond. That's when we start having the conversation about what kind of water do you have. What are the soils, subsoils that are going to be in the bottom of the pond? What kind of habitat do we need to build? What kind of fish do you want? Is it going to be a duck patty, or is it going to be a bluegill pond, or are you going to try to grow catfish to feed the family? Or you want to grow some pretty nice bass and bluegill for the grandkids to catch. So based on your goals, then we start designing the interior of that body of water so that it can help meet your goals that you're shooting for.
And sometimes you're going to be able to get all that dirt for the dam all from within, and sometimes when you consider building the dam, you're looking for small canyons most of the time, or it's where
you're looking at what
watershed comes in.
You're looking at what nature provides you, and then you mold that and adjust it if it's feasible. If you got 15 feet of sand, sitting on top of a 30-foot layer of clay, that may not be the smartest place in the world to put a lake. If you're sitting on a gravel bed, that may not be the smartest place to put a lake, but at least you can do the due diligence to see. Even with sand and gravel, you can put a liner in it. So that all comes out in the overall due diligence process to figure out what you should and what you shouldn't do. Now, when you figure out the best site, you've figured out that yes, you've got enough clay because the dam, say in this particular pond, say it's going to be 300 feet across, an average of 10 feet high. It's going to be 20 feet high at its tallest point, a 12-foot crown on top. We can calculate how much dirt that is. And then we can also calculate how much of that dirt needs to be clay. Then we got to make sure you have that volume of clay to be able to build that size dam. And then once that starts happening, then we start figuring out what nature is going to provide inside the body, and then at that point you can start getting some pretty good bids. Now, I remember one. This family was going to end up building a pretty big lake, and they were adamant about the brother-in-law building it. He owned a D6 bulldozer, which is a fairly small dozer used primarily for shaping. Well, they were going to build a 60-acre lake, and they were adamant until they started to learn that he didn't have the right equipment and he didn't have the right experience. And one of the ways I drove that point home is now, you're going to have Thanksgiving dinner with him You want that to go well, right?
Yeah.
So let's place him in the role that he's best suited at. He was best suited to helping clear some of the brush off the dam site, so that they can, in a lake that size, so they could, prepare the site to build the dam. So he did play a role. My point is, find somebody that has built this type of pond before nearby, and understands your soils and understands what it is that you want to do. So you can do that. You can build a small pond. You can build a medium-sized pond, but the pond size is going to be determined by the site. Don't put a 3-acre pond on a site that needs a 12-acre pond. If you do, the dam's going to get blown out. Don't put a 5-acre lake on a watershed that only supports a 2-acre pond. It'll never fill. So when you go through all this due diligence and you do your homework, and there's several really good books out there. Mike Otto's got one called Just Add Water that you can get from pondboss.com. You can spend some time at the Institute of Higher Pondology, because we really hit that topic heavy, and help save you some dumb tax, because I guarantee you, you don't need that dam to be any taller or any wider than it needs to be.
And that's where you need to avoid mistakes, is in that stage.
Yes. In the planning stage, if you can uncover as much as you can, then you're going to be less likely to spend money you shouldn't spend. In all fairness to the contractors, you really don't know what you're getting into until you've dug down into the earth. Once you get down 4 or 5 feet under the ground, you might find things you had no idea were going to be there. But you can still do a whole lot of homework before you ever build that pond. So my counsel and advice is do some homework. There's another book called Perfect Pond, Want One? Pondboss.com has got a lot of information about building lakes, as does the Institute of Higher Pondology. So if you're getting ready to build a pond, send me an email, info@pondboss.com. I'll help steer you in the right direction to where you need to go to find the right people to help you do that. So hope that helps. Hey, that's some pretty rapid-fire, fast-paced information, but it'll help you get where you're going.
It's a topic here that really, I think, you need to seek out the classes. You need to go to the Institute. If nothing else, sign up and subscribe to the video series, because a lot of Mike's presentation and the basics of it, you're not kidding when you say you dig into that pretty deep.
That's right. And when you're getting ready to spend money especially with heavy equipment and dirt contractors, that's a sizable investment. And the more you can learn, it's caveat emptor. It truly is. Even though our nature is to find somebody good and then depend on them, the bottom line is you got to depend on you. So the more you learn about it, the better decisions you're going to be able to make, the better eyes you're going to have on the project to see that it's being run like you want it. Because I can sit here, I can tell you horror story after horror story, but I can also tell you the good stories, and every single good story is because the landowner did their homework and then helped monitor the project to see how it was going, communicating with that earth-moving contractor continually. Not getting in his way, because he'll bulldoze over you. But communicating well enough to be able to understand what's going on, so you can sometimes make decisions on the fly, which that's real important when you're going to build a pond. Simply because you don't know what you're getting into really till they start moving dirt. So even if you do a lot of planning, it's important that you learn more. The Institute of Higher Pondology can help you do that. You're going to spend $400, but it's going to be worth it because of the money that you're going to save.
Absolutely.
So, hey, listen, here's another podcast under our belts, and glad to be able to convey some of this information. Hope it helps you, and go to pondboss.com for more information. Chico, appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, adios. Wow, that was pretty fun, huh? I'm so glad that you joined us. Say, if you're looking for more information, I want you to head over to pondboss.com. We've got all kinds of cool information and been there forever. It's got some of the best articles, topics, got Ask the Boss discussion forum. And be sure to check out the Institute of Higher Pondology online as well. And subscribe to Pond Boss Magazine. That's what fuels the economy of what we're doing to help us put these shows on. So until next time, we'll see you then.
Hey, Mr. Pond Boss, tell me what to do to make all my Lunker Lake dreams come true.